Okay, since we tested your initial knowledge throughout midterm assessment, the more weight of the paper to latter part of the topics. In other, we can say the area that is not tested in the midterm assessment, more priority, more weight to test the other part. So sometimes 1 or 2 questions will come from the first part, but more weight to latter part. So then this is then another point. Yeah, if you have any, you can put in the chat box. So we'll take that after we discussing this point. So yeah, then while we are working on the topic, so we'll discuss according to the topic. So if any question which is related to the examination, we'll take that after the class. Okay, fine, we'll go. So then under this, we are going to discuss about financial system stability. Finance system stability means a safe and secure finance system which is able to withstand from external and internal shocks. So then financial system stability, simply we can take it, that means stability within the finance system. So stable means the financial system could be able to stand any sort of crisis or imbalance. The crisis or imbalance may happen within internal, sometimes external shocks. So maintaining the safe and sound, secure finance system within the economy, generally simply we call financial system stability. A stable financial system creates a favorable environment for depositors and investors, encouraging financial institution and market to function efficiently and effectively to promote investment and country's economic growth. So then this system will create financial institution stability and market to function efficiently and effectively. So then all this work, the stability will ultimately lead to country's economic stability, and then that means finance system stability, economic stability, then ultimately go for economic growth plus sustainable development. So for all these steps, the financial system stability and stability in the system is required. So then the next part, financial system stability for a country require a stable financial and economic environment within an effective regulation framework and safe and healthy payment and settlement system. So then they are saying, so to perform or to run the system smoothly, there should be a strong regulatory framework and it's effective as well, safe and healthy payment system. We discussed about payment and settlement system. So then all the payment and settlement system need to be smooth and safe. So that means real-time settlement. So when all the debt securities is get matured, so then country or the government need to be strong to settle all these debt securities, like those things. So then these things indicate the stability of the financial system. Maintenance of financial system stability requires identifying and addressing potential weakness and risk of financial system. So they need to identify potential weakness or some sort of risk that they can be occurred in advance. So then accordingly they need to find measures to mitigate such sort of any imbalance. system imbalance. That means financial system imbalance. We'll see, they have mentioned few points, so we'll discuss all these things. Creating a trustworthy and favorable environment for savers and investors. So this is simply when we talk about the savers, so that means the confidence on the financial system. If any financial institution get collapsed, so that's why the central bank is more worried about stability of the financial institution. So if any financial institution get collapsed, people or public will assume all the financial institutions are same. So then they try to withdraw their money. That means this process will end up with bank run. So that means they try to withdraw money from all the financial institutions. So then once start a bank run, any finance institution cannot, that means offset or settle their depositors' money at once. So then it will be ultimately lead to financial crisis, and then it will go to economic crisis. As well, the investors. So then, so they, whatever they have invest, so they should have to be trust on government debt securities and settlement and all these. Anyway, simply what we can say, that means trustworthiness on their investment. The next one, helping the transmission of monetary policy, thereby assisting the attainment of price stability. So the stability of the monetary policy, as well as we know, this ultimately lead to price stability. So we know that price stability is very much important. So then ultimately this lead to various sort of price. That means this may link for many imbalance within the country as of that, or economy. As of that reason, the price stability also very much important. Encouraging efficient financial intermediation while eventually promote investment and growth. So that means efficient financial intermediation means, that means we know the financial institution work as an intermediator in between saver and investor. So then the financial institution need to be perform an effective role in between these two ends, and always need to be promote the saving as well as the investment. So that means they need to consider, they need to create a smooth platform for both ends. So then ultimately this will be lead to development of the country. So that means making confidence on saver as well as lending more, identifying potential, or that means prime customers and lending more and more. So ultimately these things will lead to more and more private investment. So then when the consumer or saver get interest, so then their consumption increasing, this in the private investment increasing, aid increasing, all this system will lead to country's growth. So this is the next point. Encouraging effective and efficient operation of market, improving the distribution of resources in the economy. So then in here they are talk about all the market system and need to be efficient and smooth process. So then all these things will be need to development. The stability of financial system depends on several independent, namely we can consider a stable macroeconomic environment. So then in here we can say all the macroeconomic variable stability. So when all the macroeconomic variable stability will lead to stability of macroeconomic environment. So then what are the macroeconomic variables that we can consider? So inflation, that means it's linked to the price. Inflation, interest rate, exchange rate, our country's debt position or debt level, and budget deficit, uh, and saving, investment, like all these variables. So then stable of that. So if any sort of variable is deteriorating more, so then it will be effect for stable macroeconomic energy. So then there won't be a, upper level or lower level. So it should have be moderate level according to the country's economic system. So this simply, if we took more, little bit more on this answer, when country economy is growing, or this system, the way, that means behavior of the macroeconomic variable, also the size of the macroeconomic variable, it is depend according to the economy. That means we can say if it is a BRICS country or developed country or developing country or South African country, or according to that country or according to that economy, that variable need to be, even interest rate, exchange rate, budget deficit, all these things need to be have. So in that case, we cannot compare, this is the US interest rate, so then our interest rate or the variable need to be have like that, not like that. So according to that country's situation, the macroeconomic variables behavior and size need to be decided for stability of the macroeconomic environment. So then the next point, well-governed and sound financial institutions. So then the finance institution need to be regulated heavily as well as sound. So then that means when it is regulated heavily, that means if you have a strong regulatory system mechanism, so then the central bank could be able to govern them in a prudential manner. So then, as of that reason, so strong financial, that means regulatory mechanism system need to be had. An efficient financial market, that means smooth process, efficient performance of the financial market. Sound prudential supervision, that means need to be identified the how this economic system is performing. That means prudential supervision. That means we need to identify in advance, are we going for a crisis? How is our economic, and that means the macroeconomic variable behavior? How is our inflation going on? How is our interest rate? How is our exchange rate is performing? Is that our existing reserves is sufficient? So will in further our exchange rate will be depreciated? So how will happen to our inflation? Is it going up or down? So like that way, identifying any crisis or imbalance within the economy in advance, and required policy measures to mitigate such sort of crisis or instability within the economy. So that is the next point. And safe and reliable payment settlement system. So that means we, in this point, we can discuss even a small size, large size of payment and settlement system. Even when you are transferring even a 1,000, 2,000 rupees to some other parties through online transaction, or depositing, as well as when you are a large amount of money when you are buying securities, that settlement like that. This is when you talk about the safe and reliable payment system, it is not depend on the size. Small and the large payment all need to be in a safe and secure manner. So this is also another point for stability of the financial system. So then we have further discussion on the role of the central bank in maintaining financial system, promoting and maintaining public confidence on money. So then public confidence. So then people or the public should have to be confidence on the money. So that's why we discuss one point. So I'll take for this point. Is this shared with you? The new not your bank notes. Is it this one is shared with you? Can you see? Hello, are you with me?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Yeah. So then this point we have discussed in advance. So then I just thought to reminisce what you discussed on the previous topics. So then knowing about banknotes, so then people should have to be trust on the bank notes. So that means there won't be any counterfeit notes. If there is if anyone can print similar to the original or genuine banknotes, so then it's a problem. So there won't be anyone to print similar to the original banknotes. So then this should have to be more strong. So then only what happened, the people confidence on the currency will be happen. Yeah, we'll go back to our. So then public confidence on currency will happen. So so promoting maintain public confidence on money. So then people public will have trust on that. So then they will see the that means they identify the correct notes. So then it will be lead to financial system stability. Promoting safe and sound of individual finance institution. So then in here we talk about the collapse or bankruptcy or insolvency of financial institution. So then if public is trust with the financial institution, then only they go and invest their money. So then so it is ultimately to system stability. So we know we have experienced and we have heard some news on collapse of some financial institution. So then throughout the lifetime, what they have earned, they have deposited. So then ultimately they end up losing their money. So then this is not only damage for that institution, so it will damage for all the other finance institution, plus it will be damage to the regulator as well. So then as of that reason, so then promoting safe and sound financial institution within the system is also much required. So can't you see, sorry, can't you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Now we can see. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, fine. So if there are any issues, please let me know. So then, yeah. So then when you talk about the next point, ensuring public confidence on financial system in collaborate with the other financial regulators through minimize the risk of financial system. So then this ultimately lead to, that means that the safe and sound financial institution within the system will ultimately lead to public confidence. So then we know the public confidence on the financial system, as well as especially the financial institution, is very much required. So then also the regulation of these things. So all the financial institution throughout, we discussed the legal points. So that's why once we come to this level, we have accumulated knowledge. So now we know once we talk about each and every point, you have studied the regulatory system within the central bank, then how many regulatory act that the central bank is having. So then throughout all this, why we cannot do one regulation, why we have to move. So that means once we have more and more, each and every sector could be able to regulate. So then smoothly, and this specification is there, specialization on each and every segment is there. So as of that reason, so it is easy and more powerful to regulate the each and every sector. So it is much required. So then the acting as a lend of the last resort. So we know the ending acting as a lend of the last resort. If any financial institution, we are going to discuss a little bit more. We take that point now, so then it will be, I think, easy. So is it when I scroll the presentation, I scroll to new one. Is it shared with you?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So then once you talk about the lend of the last resort, usually will take more idea on this point. Usually a country's central bank that offer loans to banks or other eligible institutions that are experiencing financial difficulties or considered highly risk or near collapse. So this facility commonly known as lend of the last resort. So then not even the financial assistance, so some advisory, some other services also can be considered as a lend of the last resort. That means any financial institution. Why is central bank doing these things? Is there any, why central bank cannot stay alone and let it to happen? No, we know if something happen, if we discuss this point, if any financial institutions collapse, so then it will be, the public will see all the other financial institutions also will collapse soon. So then they try to withdraw money. So this all ultimately lead for bank run. So then if it came to that point, so central bank cannot handle that system. So then before that, before going to that level, so they identified in advance their performance of financial institutions, and accordingly, if anyone is struggling to that means survive, so central bank intervene and do various measures. So then simple another example we can take. So initially once we discuss about the license finance companies, once we can see, so earlier we identified there was around 40, now it was being going down. So there was central bank is try to amalgamate to each and everyone. So why they are doing so? So that means to make public confidence, to avoid bank run. So then, so they ask to take some other the strong finance institutions to acquire and smooth run and various measures and taking the management, providing funds, like various sort of measures doing. So this point we'll simply talk about lend of the last resort of the central bank. Okay, we'll go to that point again. So they had a little bit of idea acting as the lend of the last resort. So then we'll go for the next one. Resolving failing finance institutions. Sorry, resolving failing finance institution in a manner. This will minimize possible adverse implication of such an event on overall financial system and economy. So that means resolving failing, that means any collapse or any that means insolvence of any financial institution. So then providing facilities and minimizing any adverse impact. Regulating and supervising financial market infrastructure. So not even that. So regulating all the financial market also considered under the role of central bank in maintaining financial system stability. So then we are going to discuss on entities falling under the regulatory power in the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So then which part or which entities that central bank is coming under their power. So then for in the concept of financial system stability. So then all licensed bank, all licensed finance companies, regulated leasing establishments, licensed microfinance companies, that means all licensed microfinance companies, primary dealers in government securities, authorized dealers in foreign exchange, authorized money changers or exchanges, and authorized money brokers. So then all these parties is regulating to smooth process of the financial system within the economy. Okay, fine, we'll go to the next one. So then other main financial regulators, Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, and Insurance Board of Sri Lanka. So apart from these things, so then there are the other regulatory measures in financial system. So then if we had a little bit of idea, we know it's not much new for us. It's SEC. We'll take a little bit of time to discuss. SEC is responsible for licensing and regulating stock exchange, stock brokers, stock dealers, and unit trust and companies. So then we had a in detail discussion when you talk about central banking or the other financial institution, but here we are touching a little bit and we are reminiscing what we discussed in previously. And empowered by Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka Act number 36 of 1987. In order to coordinate financial stability issues, Deputy Governor of the Central Bank is member of the Board of Directors of the SE. So indirectly, so Central Bank also involved, why the Deputy Governor of CBSL is also member of the Director Board of SEC. So we'll see about all these things. And Insurance Board of Sri Lanka, we all know, but we are taking a little bit of time to have idea also. The Insurance Board of Sri Lanka regulated and supervises the insurance industry, all the insurance companies and other providers, insurance providers, all insurance companies and other agent and insurance brokers under the regulation of Insurance Industry Act number 43 of 2000 to safeguard the interest of policyholders. So then their prime objective is safeguard the policyholders. If any, that means insurance companies misusing these things, why they are taking public money? Simply the policyholders' money. So they take the policyholders' money and they work on that. So then, as of that reason, they are also regulating this act. Central Bank is a member of IBSA and represent the Deputy Governor in charge of financial system stability. So then financial system stability, Deputy Governor also being in charge of this as a Insurance Board of Sri Lanka. So then we can see indirectly also Central Bank is involving the smooth process of Insurance Board as well as to financial system stability. So we had an idea discussion on this point. So then we are going to have a discussion on macroprudential surveillance. So macroprudential policy aims at increasing the resilience of the financial system as a whole to reduce the build-up systematic risk affecting to overall market, which can be threatened to the financial system. So that means identifying any macroeconomic, that means variables imbalance, so which ultimately lead for risk or crisis. So identifying all the macroeconomics some unsustainable situation, and finding the policy measures to uh, avoid any financial system stability. So this is called macroprudential surveillance. So then building systematic risk. So that means reduce the building of systematic. So if any risk of unstable, if they identify, so then reduce that for financial system stability. So that's the simple idea of this point. So macroprudential policies set by identifying, monitoring, and assessing in order to prevent or mitigate risk and ensure maintenance of stability in overall finance system. So then whatever we discussed, they have written here, is identifying in advance and what is the problem, yes, the problem, what is the cause for this problem. So identifying all these things in advance, monitoring how it behavior and assessing to mitigate the risk and ensure maintenance of stability. So why they are doing all these things? Ensure maintenance of stability in overall finance system. So ultimate objective is overall financial system stability. So for that, they are identifying the behavior of all the macroeconomic variable and identifying in advance is simply we can say, is this going for right direction or wrong direction? So if it is going for negative direction or wrong way, so then identifying and providing policy measures to overcome such issues or crises. So then next one, for this purpose, central bank observe the financial and monetary system and uses a specific set of tool to limit risk. So then they use various sort of tool to mitigate, to limit the risk. So we simply then, if anyone asks about what are the tools, so there are many tools. We discuss few of under our syllabus, under our topic. So if we reminisce one, so we identified if the central bank identified the way the money when we talk about the last topics what we discussed. So if the money supply in the economy is high, and if that is lead to inflation and it will be going for a crisis situation, so then what central bank do? They use various policy measures. We discussed what are these things in the last class. So then reduce the money supply within the economy and increase interest rate and some other policy measures. So we discussed the measures, open market operation, SDFR, SLFR, SRR, moralization, various measures. So then throughout any sort of things, what they have fit for this one, or indirect some measures, so credit control, whatever thing, if what they have, that means that board or that means advisory committee think whatever the fitted one, so then they will use these measures to eliminate the risk. So this is the simple idea what we discuss when we discuss under this point. So then the next point, the analysis done for this purpose is known as macroprudential analysis, and this method of economic analysis assess the finance system as a whole to identify severe imbalances. So then, as we discuss, if they identify any severe imbalances could be occur, so then they use policy measures. So simply we can take further once we talk about more. So we identify, also central bank identify higher inflation situation. It's going up. It's sort of signal of skyrocketing, and it's double digit. So it's and increasing the inflation heavily. So then they identify this is an issue, some sort of severe imbalance situation. So then they came across various policy measures, some credit control, and increasing interest rate, and reduce the money supply within the economy, stop, and they use to address this way in various way, stop on the dollar going out, and throughout various measures, and get some assistance from outside, some requesting some loans, so an IMF loan and various things, and some other parties' assistance to mitigate these things. So it is not simple. It's a complex process, and all the time. So then that's why when economy is in a crisis, central bank, some saying there, when economy is in a crisis, central bank cannot sleep. Some are saying, that means there is some saying. So when economy is in a crisis, central bank cannot sleep. So that means they are working without sleep. So then it's quite a difficult situation. So then, like that. Yeah. So then, next point, resolving of failing financial institution. So although no central bank or no government could guarantee the safety of all transaction or institution in the financial system, the central bank attempt to ensure that the finance system as a whole remain stable. So then this point they are saying central bank or government cannot guarantee the 100% security of the financial system. There may be some issues, but that's why when most of the policymakers, most of the economists are arguing, when you are making policy decision, try to make decision with collaboration with monetary and that means fiscal policy system. That means they are saying need to meet that treasury and the central bank regularly when they make any severe decisions or some sort of anything is impact to economy heavily. So then they need to sit and they need to take decision collaboratively. So then smoothly could be able to process. Sometimes if they have whatever things the government do, if central bank doesn't know, whatever the things central bank doesn't know, if government doesn't know, so then it's a problem. So they should have be discussed, and in the most of the countries, central bank need to be work as an independent body. No public, no control, no government influence. So need to be have. So if government need to be influenced, so then it is a problem. So it is a problem. So then, as of that reason, the central bank need to be have an independent body. So they should have. We think that they should have to allow to make decision according to their experience and in the interest of economic stability. That's why they are saying interest of economic stability. So then always think on countries' economic stability, finance system stability. So then that's why they have mentioned here. So they need to be always work on with their experience, their management. So it should be need to be perform forecast and accordingly they need to work, but there should be a crisis. There is a possibility. But once you evaluate all the past experience and once you evaluate all the others developed countries experience, so once we work and if we identify things in advance, if we work accordingly, we can minimize the risk or lessen the effect of the that means effect of to the economy. So if we missed any point, so if we are in the right track, so we can sort out these things, sort out these issues fast. So that's the simple idea on this point. So then the next point, if there is any non-viable institution, the central bank as the regulator intervenes to resolve such institution safely, minimize the impact of the possible adverse consequence of such institution failure in the economy. So this point we can say is act of end of the last resort. So if they are identifying any financial institution is not performing well. That's why central bank has various departments, bank supervision, regulatory, and various department for finance, various financial institutions. We can see the department of, that's why we are at the latter part. Now we are talking with all this experience. We went through that. How many did we know the department of CBSL. So then we know various departments central bank have it. So with that department, so they monitor each and every segment. So if they identify any sort of issues, then they are saying this point say, so find the necessary policy measures to mitigate this sort of failures. If any finance institution going to be callous. So according to the situation, so identify what is the reason. So we know central bank doing various measures, moral suasion and indirect measures to identify all these things, and accordingly, so then they directly involve you. If the money is required, they provide money, and if they need some management assistance, they provide this in training. So you may know the central bank is giving to finance institution various training to identify the system and all these things, banking system and all these things. Time to time they conduct training. So why they do so? To smooth process of the financial system within the economy. So then we are going to discuss a part about financial safety nets. So the net of the financial safety. Deposit insurance is one of the key component of the financial safety net, along with the supervision, resolution, and lend of the last resort facility. So then the depositors insurance. So then it means safeguard the depositor is a key component of financial safety net. So then the depositor need to be protected. So then this is the key component of the safety net. So then along with so apart from that, supervision, resolution, and then of the last resort facility can be considered. In the line with international development, the central bank has taken steps to introduce the mandatory deposit insurance system, Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme, with effect from 2010 October 1st. So then the central bank start to introduce the deposit insurance scheme. So it was named as Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme. So throughout this, so central bank try to safeguard depositors to some extent. We'll see, we'll have more idea on that. The purpose of establishing the SLDIL is creating a mechanism to protect depositors from failure of financial institution and maintaining depositors' confidence. So then throughout this scheme, so then they're saying, so then they have confidence on depositors. So if something happened, so we are getting something from central bank. So then they have confidence. Central bank is not regulating this finance institution. Central bank continuously monitoring how their performance and everything. If something happens, so we have some sort of money. So then, but ultimately we'll have the depositors' confidence will be increased. So then they encourage to go for that means regulated financial institutions. The member institutions of this scheme is comprised of all licensed commercial banks, licensed specialized bank, and licensed finance company. All the financial institutions which is regulated by CBSL is, that means they are the member of this insurance scheme. So they need to be member of this insurance scheme. In the event of the license of member institution is cancelled by the monetary board, the eligible depositors will be compensated up to minimum of 600 per depositor per institution by this scheme. So that means if any financial institution which was regulated by CBSL, if CBSL cancel them as of any sort of misconduct, so then they will get benefited throughout this scheme. So maximum up to 600,000 per depositor. So we'll see this was request to increase. We'll see increasing the maximum compensation payment under this scheme. So then there was a request. So then Monetary Board of Sri Lanka has decided to increase the maximum compensate payment from 600 to 1.1 million. So then by 500,000 days, decide to increase. This decision has taken to provide further relief to the depositors of financial institutions regulated by the CBSA in the event of cancellation or suspension of the license of such institution. So then, if any financial institution was suspended or cancelled by CBSA, so then central bank is responsible on giving some compensation to these depositors. So then sometimes this may be not 100% for there, but anyway, there is something. So that means something is better. It's quite like something is better than nothing. There is something for depositors rather than getting any zeros of money. So once we list some recent 6 financial institutions which was cancelled.
Sir,
Yeah.
In the previous slide, it
Yes.
mentioned that eligible depositor. So every depositor will not get, or is it all the depositors are eligible?
Yeah, all the depositors. That means if they identify these depositors has deposit, that means they initially once they collapse, the eligible means they need to be identified that they have deposit with this finance institution. So there should be some sort of they should be able to identify there is a proof of that deposit. So if they identify, so then that eligible is that idea. That means there should be some sort of proof of deposits. So if they identify, so then they will get this compensation. Is it clear for you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So then you go for this one. So if once you take according to the 2021 data, so then the license has been cancelled or suspended by the monetary boards are eligible to receive the compensation amount. So then these companies, CFL, that means the Standard Credit Finance Limited, TK's Finance Limited, the finance companies, ETI Finance Limited, and Swarnamal Finance Services like that. So then simply if we took once according to this year, so this simple example that they have taken for your understanding. So that means, so they are eligible to get this if anyone who deposit with this finance institution, and there is some sort of information on their deposit. So that means some proof of their deposit. So then all will get this compensation. So then we are going to see the Financial System Stability Committee. The Finance System Stability Committee was set up in 2002 when finance system stability became one of core objectives of central bank. So then So they identify the committee is a core objective. So then as of that reason, they set up this financial system committee. The main task of financial system committee are, so then they have, not even that, they assign a committee and they establish a committee and then they assign task for this committee. So we'll see what are these tasks. Assess the risk and weakness that may lead to finance system instability or imbalance. So then they identify any risk or weakness of any financial system, or that means which ultimately lead to stability of the financial system. That means identifying the things or any crisis or any weakness in advance. Recommending measures and policies to governor and the monetary board to mitigate such issues. So then not even that, so they identify, then they inform to governor, that means central bank governor, plus the monetary board to mitigate such issues. So then they recommending measures and policies. So then they're saying this is the way and these are the policies. So then, so here, these things they have recommending to mitigate any sort of, that means to overcome that issue. So that issue means the identified issue. Monitor the financial system and submit periodic report to governor and the monetary board recommending policies to promote finance system stability. So then monitoring the finance system and submit periodic report. So then not even that. So in identifying that means issues in advance. Apart from that, they do some time to time monitoring on financial system and submitting report accordingly to governor and the monetary board about the existing issues on financial system. Apart from that, they provide or they recommend policies and measures to overcome, if there is any issue, to overcome that crisis situation or imbalance situation. Prepare the financial system stability review. So then preparing the financial system stability review. So we'll see this one, we have attachment, and they are also providing their assistance, their contribution to preparing the financial system stability review. So time to time, it is not frequently happening like central bank report. So there is some gaps, but accordingly they will provide. So a simple example, if I'm correct, 2002 is there, no, 2001 to 2020 is there, like that, according to their availability. So these reports they are going to publish. So we'll see the financial system committee. So and the construction of that. The Financial System Stability Committee consists of the following CBSL officials. So then chairman of this committee is the deputy governor in charge of finance system stability. So apart from that, few members, deputy governor in charge of price stability. So then identifying stability of the price, assistant governor in charge of price system stability. Apart from that, deputy governor, assistant governor also there. So these things may subject to change, but we discuss the general format. But according to the requirement, time to time, the power is there to change, but we having a simple idea how it is, and in here what we are, why we identifying all these things. So we identifying these points. That means price stability, there is officials for price stability, finance stability, and here also price stability. Then there is the official for payment system stability. Then another director for financial stability studies. Then there are research director, economic research. So they do the economic research and identifying how the behavior of the economy, and there is a official for bank supervision, how it is the banking system is performing, and there is an official for non-bank finance institution, and there is an official for payment and find the payment and settlement, and there is an official for IT, domestic operation, international operation, public debt, statistics, exchanger controlling, and financial intelligence. So likewise, once we see all these things, that means they represent all the aspect of the system of the finance, or in other you can say finance system. So then throughout all these, that means since they address all the segments, so then throughout all the segments, so they identify each and every aspect, how is performing, and they are superintendent of public debt, so they identify how the outtake position, is it going, is it too much, so will it lead to for finance system stability, and if is our exchanger is depreciated to appreciate, is it effect for our finance system stability, like all these things. So all this segment is covering throughout this official. Apart from that, observer as a director of policy review and monitoring and secretary to the committee is a deputy director also there. So that means all the officials is working as a cluster to finance system stability. Why? It is a very important part of the economy. It's a very crucial part of the economy. As of that reason, they heavily monitoring, regulating, identifying how it performs, and time to time they provide the appropriate measures to mitigate any issues can be happen. So then we are going to have an idea about financial inclusion. So simply, so then you see, and you have an idea on financial inclusion. I said, the financial inclusion is where individuals and business have access to useful and affordable financial products and services that meet their need, that are delivered in a responsible and sustainable way. So that means we'll discuss this and we'll go to that, so then we could be able to understand more. Also, financial inclusion is defined as availability and equality of opportunity to access financial service. So then once we talk about this, so that means, so these products, once we see this slide, we can see this person has more products like saving. Saving is for requirement. So credit required for her requirement. And the credit, that means plastic card for various payments. So insurance for protection, and remittance or inward or outward. So like that way, various products. So then financial inclusion is where individuals and business have access to useful and affordable financial products. So then this is not only individuals, a business. So then they should have to be access. So then they should have to be access on saving. So then credit. So if any individuals or household need any credit, so then they should have to get credit, or in private, that means private institution or any private sector need credit, so then they should have that facility on credit. So insurance, remittance, payment, like that. So that facility on various products. Okay, so this is we'll call simply conclude as a, or that means define as a financial inclusion. Products and services that meet their needs, that are delivered in a responsible and sustainable way. So then in a responsible manner. So then they should have to act. The providers need to act in a responsible way, so to meet their requirement. So then in here, banks, so then providers can be taken as banks, microfinance institution, mobile network operators, card companies, postal network, like all this. So that means simply when we take the financial inclusion means the public will having more and more link with these sort of financial products. So then save transaction account, use broad range of financial service. For all these things simply will call financial inclusion. So then this side they are saying have no basic bank account, have no access to finance services, rely on cash economy. So these things will we not consider as a financial inclusion. So then financial inclusion simply we call that means engaging on that they have clearly say then engaging on more and more POS payment, card payment, and that means why? So that means they have more. Once we the simple idea, this product links to financial institution. So then all the financial institutions are providing these facilities. Public or the customers will link with all these things more and more in these products. Simply will call financial inclusion. So then what's need to get there? Broader inclusion, customer-centered product innovation, financial capability, strong customer protection, better financial transaction, more and interpersonal access point, enabling legal and regulatory framework, public and private sector commitment, open and balanced payment, pay like that way. So all these things need to be get there. So then that means this is the simply we can say this is linked with the that means when finance system and stability is there, people